All right, here we are, part 3 with Eliza Kingsford, licensed psychotherapist, mind body practitioner, and behavior change specialist. I am drooling over this series. I'm geeking out. I'm loving, and I hope that you're enjoying as much as I am, audience, and coming with your pen and paper. Last week, we talked about a lot. We talked about these deposits, and we're going to dive into a lot of this. But I feel like what I need you to know is Eliza is providing this beautiful base of information and all these foundational tools and thoughts. And then what she has is tangible takeaways in this Healthy for the Holidays series that's going on for her. So I feel like what we're doing here is setting you up for so much success. But if you're listening and going, I hear this and I don't exactly know how to position it in my own life, you need to flip over to that. And then I'm going to, again, shush and hand the mic back over to Eliza so that you can give a little more promo on that, as well as take us into our next topic to finish us out in this 3-part series. Hi, Eliza.
Hi, we're having so much fun. We think it's fun. I hope the listeners also think it's fun. Yeah, so the Healthy for the Holidays series, I'll set it up for the listeners so they can understand, is that it came out of this desire to help people have a more peaceful experience over the holidays and not do it in the traditional ways of being afraid of all the holiday temptations and, all the holiday stress and all of the things that come with the holidays, and worried about how they're going to do food and food decisions and parties and all of the stress that comes along with that. And the traditional ways of approaching that is either I'm going to double down on my dieting activities, or forget it. I'm going to pretend like it doesn't exist until the new year, until I wake up and go, oh my gosh, I don't feel very good. There is absolutely a middle ground. And when I really promote this peaceful and easy relationship with food, without having that mean you give up on your weight loss goals or body goals or composition goals or whatever it is, that is possible. I'm trying to help teach people the tangible ways to get there. Now, as we've talked about the last couple of weeks, the foundation of these things are a little bit complicated. They're deeply rooted in neuroscience and in the science of physiology and the science of behavior change. But what we're doing in the Healthy for the Holidays series is I spend 1 week on a topic, help set it up and lay the foundation. And then we really start using tools, practicing tools. But what they'll hear, what starts happening is I relate the tools to what's happening in the nervous system and what's happening in the brain structure, so people understand it from a different perspective, just like we did last week when you said I was reading a book before my kids came home so that I had energy to be with them. I help relate that to actually what you did was put a deposit in your nervous system bank account. You regulated yourself back into safety and connection, which gave you more capacity to meet your kids where they were when they came home. And so that's what we're doing in the Healthy for the Holiday series, is tying these kind of tangible tools to what's going on in the foundational structures of the brain and body. And what I see that offers for people is that they'll stick with something that they might not have before because they didn't really understand what they were doing or why it helped, and also not get too attached to a tool. Instead, understand that it was one tool out of a system of tools to help in these different areas. So today, our not small, but I think very interesting topic is on beliefs and paradigms, truly what amounts to neuroplasticity and brain structures. Now, if I'm going to put it in everyday terms, you've heard a lot of people talk about mindset work. Mindset work is good. We'll hear a lot of people talk about mindset work, and what they really mean is, our thoughts are powerful, and you have to have a growth mindset, and changing your mind can change your life. You've heard all of these quips before. But last week we really dove into, well, actually the nervous system organizes everything first and then sends the messages up to the brain, which we pick up and perceive, and those become our thoughts, beliefs, and paradigms. So mindset really is a secondary action or a secondary result of what's happening in the nervous system first. So we have to, step number 1, understand and attend to nervous system states, because if we don't like what's happening in our mindset, that was as a result of something that happened in the nervous system. So we're going to stay in this hamster wheel if we don't address the nervous system. Okay, got that. Well, now we've moved up into mindset. And by mindset, we're really talking about thoughts and beliefs and paradigms. For example, if your listeners are struggling with food or weight in any type of way, you would ask them, what do you believe to be true about weight loss? Just in general, what do you believe to be true about weight loss? And specifically weight loss for you, right? Not because we're talking about weight loss, but it's just to get a sense of mindset and paradigms and beliefs, right? Things that I hear a lot are, it's really hard, it's not sustainable, it will fail. Even if I lose weight, I don't know how to keep it off. It's too hard to lose weight. I'll have to give up everything I like. Those are sets of beliefs, right? Very simply, if we want to know what we're talking about, beliefs and paradigms, ask a question like that and you'll get a set of beliefs. Okay, great. Where do those beliefs come from, right? And what is the impact of having beliefs? So that's the kind of question that's on the table. The mind is one thing, the brain is a different thing. That's weird. What do you mean by that, right? The brain is the physical structure, and the brain is actually just the operating system, right? Like the brain is the hardware. Think of it like an iPhone. The brain's the hardware. It's just running the program that it's programmed with. The mind is the programmer. The mind programs the hardware. So the mind is the thing that programs the brain to do what it does. The reason why I'm setting that up is because the brain is not subjective. The brain does not think, is this good for me? Is this bad for me? Should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? Nope. The brain just picks up the software, the programming, and says, okay, here we go. I'll just run that program. That's important because the mind is the thing that tells it what to do. And if I just said to you, well, what's your belief about weight loss? And you just said it's too hard, or it's not sustainable, or it's not going to work. That is the mind that's programming the brain. Okay, Eliza, where are you going with that? Why is that important? Well, once the brain picks up that programming, those beliefs, it does a few things. It is habitual and automatic. So the brain likes things to be known and automatic. It will just keep repeating thoughts over and over again that come from the mind. When I say it's automatic, the brain's job is to keep you alive. And one of the ways it does that is to do things that it's always done before, what we call homeostasis. So it thinks what it always thinks. It has thoughts on autopilot because that's efficient and it's going to keep us alive. And so again, the brain is not subjective. It doesn't know if those thoughts are good for you or bad for you. It just knows they came from a belief and you've had them before, so let's have them again. And in this way, it starts to wear deep neural wiring and grooves. I think the same things over and over and over and over again, unless we intentionally interrupt them. They're habitual, they're automatic, and sadly, they're often negative. It's a whole other story, but negativity bias kept us alive. To put it simply, if Lindsey and I were both running from a tiger, and I was hypervigilant and always looking out for danger and always negative and always worried about the bad stuff, I would see the tiger before Lindsey would. I would run faster. I live, she dies. Like that's good for the brain, right? So it's automatic, it's habitual, and it's negative. If that sounds like you, if you're having automatic thoughts, if they're often negative, it just happens over and over again without you really even thinking about them, that's just the way the brain was designed. That's why I get really excited about brain structures. Because the other thing that we know is that brain structures can be changed. With neuroplasticity, we know that they can be changed. It just takes some intentionality and some focus to do that.
This is hopeful, by the way, because I feel like when we talk neuroplasticities, this doesn't automatically like stop at any age. I'm just reiterating this, right? Like you can be 90 and your brain can still be neuroplastic, flexible. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. It absolutely can. It can be neuroplastic and flexible at any age. And the thing is, the field of neuroscience is still very young, and we're finding out more and more and more about neuroplasticity and how the brain changes and what structures and all of that. So it's an exciting time in neuroscience. So I set up all of the confusing, complex brain structure to say this. The mind, with its beliefs and paradigms, programs the brain with its automatic, negative, repetitive thoughts. Mind programs the brain. Mind programs the brain. One more important piece of this is that once the brain has been programmed, it also has a filtering system. And the filtering system filters information to us and away from us based on the mind's programming. For example, if Lindsey decides she wants to go out and buy a white Subaru, all of a sudden, her mind, I like the white Subaru. Program the brain, white Subarus are important. And Lindsey will see white Subarus all over the streets, right? You ever had that happen before? Mm-hmm. Lindsey will see white Subarus everywhere. It wasn't because white Subarus weren't there before, but it's too much information for the brain to pick up everything and keep it. So it only filters information that's important to us. So white Subarus weren't important to Lindsey before, so she never saw them. That should feel very important to your listeners right now. And they should start thinking, what is being filtered to me and away from me? What am I not seeing? What am I not aware of? What is being filtered away from me based on what my mind has programmed my brain with? Everyone should start thinking that. And not so much trying to figure out what is being filtered away, but more so being aware that there are things being filtered away, things that you're not aware of, things that you don't see, things that you miss, because the brain, again, not subjective, doesn't know if it's good for you or it's bad for you. It's being programmed by the mind. You have said something like, weight loss is hard. It's never going to work for me. Even if I lose it, it's not sustainable or whatever. And therefore, the brain does its job and says, okay, I will filter all information in the contrary to that away from you. And I will make you hyper aware of the information that supports that idea. So now we've come to the crux of this. Yes, your beliefs activate certain brain structures that are designed to keep the body alive. Those brain structures are things like negativity bias, automatic thoughts, and the filtering system that will filter things to you and away from you that are congruent with those beliefs. Right now, with your listeners and their pen and paper, it's a good idea to get clear in any area of your life that you are feeling stuck. What are your beliefs about that area? And the way that they could do that is to just say, in the area that they're stuck in, what do I believe about this? What has happened for me in the past? What do I believe is possible for me in the future? And just let it flow. The reason that that is so important is because now we can reverse engineer that and know that if that's our belief, then we know for certain that there is certain information that is being filtered to you and away from you, that it's very likely that the thoughts and the behaviors are habitual and automatic that support that belief, and that to disrupt that is going to take some intention and focus. So we start with that clarity.
Yes. Okay. I feel like I'm like writing down just for a couple more examples. If our belief system is no pain, no gain in the gym, you know, that like we've got to sweat or you didn't get anything out of it.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And I love that you pointed out that specific belief because it's kind of benign, you know, it's not one of those really hard ones like I'm a failure and nothing's ever going to work for me. It's a slogan that we've picked up, no pain, no gain. But the impact of that is, as you said, if I don't sweat or if I don't work out for, you know, insert amount of time, or if it's not CrossFit or if it's not high intensity, then it's not worth it. Uh-oh. Well, it has a big impact on us in every area of our lives, like sustainability and consistency. And what if I can't get to the gym? And, you know, well, what if it doesn't work into my schedule for that day? Makes things exactly. What if I'm injured? Exactly. Then what happens? Oh, well, now this cascade of consequences that stems from that belief.
Right. And being in my 40s, I feel like another example, I'm just trying to do this so our listeners can like loop in on whatever makes sense in their life with this neuroplasticity, but like single girlfriends who are like, there are no good guys left out in the world.
Absolutely.
So they're not seeing any of the good guys left out in the world, where that is not the case, right? Like,
Well, 100% that is not the case. And what is happening for them, and again, I like to explain these things because I want to give people hope and understand that there is a possibility for things to be different. So I'm hoping that this lands not from a critical perspective, but from the place of hope. If the single woman in her 40s has a belief that there's no good guys left out there, that starts to organize information. And the problem is, as the information gets filtered to them, see, this guy was no good. See, this guy was no good. See, that didn't work out. See, that didn't work out. It just further deepens those grooves as evidence. Lindsey, I'll give you 20 pieces of evidence why that is true. And I always
mhm.
lovingly say to my clients, I believe you. I know why you're getting that evidence. Believe me, I believe you that you will bring me a full body of evidence for why that's true. Because that is all the evidence that's being filtered to you. And listen, we're not going to go down this route at all. But everybody saw this as a collective humanity during the COVID pandemic. And I'm not going into that situation, but everybody saw the information that was filtered to you, and what we did with that information was different for a lot of people. And I think for one of the first times we saw, interesting, that person is experiencing this and this person is experiencing this, but that's how I'm experiencing it, right? It happens for us in every area of our lives. And so your single friend who believes that there's no good guys out there is going to get evidence to support that belief. That's the way that the brain is designed. It would be really inefficient for the brain to keep trying to fight that. It would make the brain tired, I should say. When we decide to disrupt that, it does make the brain tired. It does make the body tired. It does impact the nervous system when we start to disrupt those structures, because now it's not on the path of homeostasis, least resistance, automatic thought. It takes more energy. It takes more capacity. It takes more effort, which can make us feel tired. That's how we know neuroplasticity is starting to work, because it feels kind of hard and difficult. The brain's going, hold on a minute. I keep trying to tell you that there's no good guys out there, and you keep trying to fight with me. Why are you doing that? I'm tired, right? So I think it's so important, as we said, for people to start thinking about what might be getting filtered to me and away from me if this is my belief system, which does allow us the opportunity to start to rewrite and say, okay, what would I like to believe? So we'll go with the example of your single friend at 40. What I might like to believe is that there's possibilities everywhere. What I might like to believe is that it's possible for me to be in a healthy, loving relationship. What I might like to believe is that it's possible that there's a good partner for me somewhere, even though I can't see it. And if we start to relentlessly refocus in that direction, this is one of the coolest things. People will start to see the brain brings information to support that belief. Again, that's why I say brain is not subjective. If you decide to change the structures, it will reorganize in favor of where you want to go. Not without effort or intention or focus, but it will. And you'll start to pick up those signs and see things that you didn't see before, and find opportunities that you thought weren't there. They were there all along, just like the white Subarus. It's just you'd filter them out, you know?
Rewrite the no pain, no gain one. I'm loving
Yeah.
to hear out of you the rewriting of this.
Okay. Yeah. No pain, no gain. So essentially what I'm hearing is what you want is gain. Right? So what is the gain that you want? Do you want strength? Do you want longevity? Do you want flexibility? Do you want mobility? You tell me, put the gain in there. Tell me what you want, and then I'll rewrite it.
Hmm.
As in, if I were to say no pain, no gain, essentially what that is saying in my mind is you need to work for what you want. Okay, so we'll call it weight loss. And essentially, if you have attached before no pain, then you won't get the weight loss. Instead, we could write it to With consistent effort, I can get what I want. With consistent focus, I could get what I want. With movement, I could get what I want. Write it however you want. The thing is, that part is it's such a new concept for people when they're in this weight loss space, and they have looked externally for everyone to tell them what to do to be successful for so long. So when I ask them to write what it is that they want, what do you want to feel? What do you want to experience? It's hard for them because they're going, yeah, but this person told me that I wouldn't get it unless it looks like this. And this person told me that I wouldn't get it unless it looks like this. So I don't even know what I want. I would write no pain, no gain, as in with the foundational aspects of weight loss, I could do whatever I want. So, for example, if I've created a caloric deficit somewhere, I could walk, I could swim, I could yoga, I could, and movement puts deposits in my bank. So for
Mm.
me, putting more nervous system deposits in my bank creates the outcomes that I want. So no pain, no gain becomes, what do I like to do? How do I like to move consistently? What would consistent movement look like for me? That also feels really rewarding and enjoyable. And people will say, well, that's not going to lead me to weight loss. And I'll say, it is because you like it and you're going to do it consistently and it feels good. So you're going to do it consistently. And the more consistently you do things, the more you're going to end up where you want. I don't know if I rewrote that for you.
Oh, it's perfect. Now I want to be like, amen. Yes. Yes. And then I think like visuals come to my mind too when we need to rewrite. Sometimes we need to like seek that external visual that's being fed to us. And when I think no pain, we'll stick with that example. No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
It's because we see that super fit model who's
Yeah.
like pounding the pavement or sweating it out at the gym. And it's like we need to find that other person that we could aspire to be, not look like necessarily, but that they're the ones walking or enjoying a talk with a friend. Like we just need to find new evidence of
Yeah.
what that can look like. So it's rewriting everything. It's our thoughts as well as our visuals, I feel.
It absolutely is thoughts and visuals. And, the other piece of the no pain, in other words, to me, it felt like punishment, right? If I don't punish myself, then I won't get to where I want to go. If that is the belief system that's underlying, I mean, you can hear that. I don't punish myself, I won't get to where I want to go. And I won't stay too long on this one bit of information. But one of the biggest mistakes I see people who are trying to lose weight make is that they try to feel bad their way to feeling good. I'm going to oversimplify that. Feel bad their way to feeling good. It's like trying to say that 2 + 2 = 5. It's not an equation that adds up. You cannot feel bad your way to feeling good. So, in other words, if you're going to rewrite no pain, no gain, you're saying I have to punish myself to feel good. And I say, you got to rewrite it some way. You're feeling good your way to feeling good, right? And however that looks for you, even if the feeling good looks like and sweating and, big bursts of energy and high intensity, if that feels good, awesome. But you cannot feel bad your way to feeling good. And so, to your point about the visuals, if looking at the pictures of whoever it is you're using for inspiration makes you feel bad, and you think you're going to feel bad enough to feel good, it is a recipe for disaster. It does not live on the same sort of vibrational wavelength. It's not on the same radio station. You keep turning it to feeling bad, thinking, hopefully I'm going to hear the feel good song. Feel good song is not playing on the feel bad station. So you can't keep turning it to that feel bad station expecting to feel good. So all the way back to your, original statement, yes, the beliefs need to change and the visuals need to change with this thought in mind. Does it make me feel good to see that person, to do that thing, to have that visual? Do I feel good or do I feel bad? If you feel bad, it's your indicator you're going in the wrong direction. You got to feel good your way to feeling good. That's the only way it works.
Mhm. I just picture every individual who's ever hung a picture of themselves on the fridge or done something where they're like, this grosses me out that I'm like that, that's the
Yeah.
feeling bad to trying to force themselves to feel good, where we'd get a lot further if we had a picture of loving on your grandbabies or, being the happy you with your friends, that we're fighting for the feel good. So that pairs with the feel good actions.
For anybody who feels like, okay, well, that's a platitude. I can keep that picture on my fridge because that picture that makes me hate myself is going to keep me from eating the ice cream. For anybody who doesn't believe me, let me put it into the science. Anytime you feel bad, that's a notification from your nervous system. Remember, the feeling bad is a secondary result of what happened in your nervous system. So you feeling bad is one of the ways that our nervous system designed us to be able to recognize your system is dysregulated. So when you feel bad, your system is dysregulated. And in order to feel good, your system needs to be in safety, right? So the feeling of feeling good is nervous system safety. So when you feel bad, you're dysregulated. When you feel good, you're in safety. Remember, those feelings are just the way that the physiology created this cue to tell us what's going on in the physiology. So the feeling good is just a representation of the physiology. So here's what I mean by that is that if you look at the picture and you feel bad, your nervous system got dysregulated. What happens when your nervous system is dysregulated? Remember, brain structure shut off, your ability to make good decisions shut off, your deposits are down, you're moving towards withdrawal. Things happen with food and behaviors when we're dysregulated that we don't want to happen. So this idea that you have of I'm going to punish myself into safety, connection, feeling good, it doesn't work on a physiological level. Every time you feel bad is the check engine light from the nervous system to say, hey, just so you know, we're dysregulated over here. So whenever people don't believe me, like I can shame myself into doing better because shame equals bad equals dysregulation. Feeling better equals ventral equals safe. They're not the same nervous system state. It doesn't work that way.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You have painted a beautiful picture. You have laid out a beautiful model for everybody to understand. And again, I think study would be the right word with that, because this shouldn't just click in, and you shouldn't, unless you have already studied this often, will not just be like, oh, I get it. So again, I'm going to have Eliza tell you where you can find her as well as her groups so that you can keep taking these deep dives and keep learning. And this was just a freebie for you to get you excited about the thought of there's a different way out there. There's a different way to look at things and to get to sustainable results. But we're going to have to do the work to get there. So tell everybody again where to find you and leave us on one last note of wisdom.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I appreciate the sort of wrap up because I do think it's important to say my work is not for people for whom this is their first rodeo, right? You heard us in a short snippet of time try to get through these really complex ideas. And so if you're left with sort of more questions and answers, that is where I would expect people to be at this point, because this is not the work for people who just want a simple, hey, can I figure out how to meditate a little bit more and bring that into my life, which is beautiful and good. This work is for people who have been kind of stuck in lifetime patterns, who really want to learn how to change at the root cause level, at the very foundational level. And so it's pretty complex. And so I make no qualms about that with people, that this is not easy work. It's incredibly rewarding. It's usually pretty permanent. It's sustainable, but it's not easy. And as you mentioned in one of our episodes, it does take repetition. It takes listening to it a couple of times and letting it land and wash over and taking notes. And so if that's how you're feeling right now, it's exactly where I would expect you to be. My students that come into my programs, they'll take it over and over again because they love it and they're changing. They're peeling back layers, and they get some of the information, they utilize it. Okay, another layer to peel back. Okay, I'm ready for another layer. That's the way this work really evolves. So as we mentioned in the beginning, We're doing some of that. We're using some tangible tools and relating it to some of these foundational pieces in Healthy for the Holidays. So elizakingsford.com is where to find me. You can sign up for Healthy for the Holidays for free. I think you've got it in show notes and links. And just come on this journey and explore it with me. Ideally, fingers crossed, the book will come out at some point so people can deep dive all the way through these structures. But certainly it's in all of my, my programs and things right now. So
I will be your accountability coach to make sure this book comes out. You're not allowed.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for spending all of this wonderful time together. I so appreciate you. And this is not goodbye.
True. You're welcome.